We are back. Hope you guys got your tea and biscuits and you're ready for game number 2, because this is one you do not want to miss. Invulnerables now looking to pick up a win here. Verdant looking to close it out 2-0 and say we're ready to be 4-0 top of the group. We will have to see. Invulnerables didn't have the greatest start, you know. I will say Verdant looked really, really strong in game 1. Snow, do you feel like a lot can change though between game 1 and game 2?
I mean, all I'm saying is there's one thing I want to say, and that is when I've casted Verdant, they've been 100% win rate. So that's why they wanted to drop down.
Woo!
I casted them in the NLC Div 2 qualifiers, 100% win rate with me on board. Now I'm casting them again, 100% win rate. That's all I'm saying. If I am on this broadcast, they are winning. So, Sammy, keep that in mind. If you want to get back to Div 2, I need to be on that cast every day, every week, every time you play.
That's a good correlation. You know, you can't argue with that. If you're here, you get the dub. They keep getting the dubs.
That's all I'm saying.
Keep it going. Keep going until it's like my uncle used to say, right? I used to sometimes go to the football matches. You know, I used to sometimes go to Chelsea, watch some games. You know, I personally never seen Chelsea lose when I've been there, right? But one of my cousins used to go, and every time they went, they lost. And they were like, "We're not giving you the tickets no more. You're not allowed to go down to the ground." But it's a good omen. You know, I do believe in those good omens and some bad omens. Shout out Valorant. But it's a sentiment where if they're winning while you're there, Snow, why not keep them around? You know, that's pretty good.
See, now I'm interested in what will happen if both you and your cousin go to a Chelsea game. Like, which of you has more power?
Oh, that's really testing it right there. That's strong. That's interesting. You know, you got to be careful about that one. You got to be careful about those ones, because I'm not gonna lie. Like, I won't say I'm that big in football anymore, but I hate when my team loses, you know. So I don't know if I'd want to go with them. You know,
don't want to risk it. You know? You can be out the stadium just hearing the fans scream. He has to guess which team's actually winning. But when we talk about omens, I feel like at the moment we don't need to really talk about omens at all. We need to talk about confidence and how confident this Verdant squad is going to be. When you dominate a game in the fashion that they did, you are going to be feeling good about yourselves.
But can that sometimes lead to complacency? You know, if you win, you smash it up, you're like, oh, simple. Pick us something. Maybe you go for a little bit of a weird draft. Then you maybe find yourself in a bit of hot water because your draft isn't as stable as before. Do you feel like there's a potential risk for that? Or actually, are you like, you know what? No, these players know what's up. They're very experienced, as we've already talked about. They're ready for this game too. They're not going to underestimate them. They're just going to play their game once again.
Well, I think Dan won't let them be complacent. I feel like he's the kind of person that just, like Dan Holt, the coach, by the way, he's not going to let them do that. He comes from himself a sports background, so he knows what it's like, what can happen if you get complacent and if you don't really, you know, believe in the enemies and what they can do and their ability. So he's going to whip these players into shape, make sure they play seriously, and they are going to go for that win, because it's not best of 3. You don't have a second chance. If you don't get this win, all of a sudden you're not top of the table, you're battling for second or third.
Yeah, and it really can be a game changer. You know, losing those 1 games here and there can be the difference between getting second or first, or getting second and third, and then maybe not making playoffs. So it really is important that you do pick up as many wins as possible. Now, obviously, very early in the season still, but every little counts. You know, you really need to make sure that you're getting all of those wins.
Yeah, that's what you really want to see from Verdant. It's just them close it out strong. They played so well game 1. I want to see if they're going to go with the same draft and just look for the exact same thing again, or if they're going to show us a bit more flexibility and play to a different style. Reminder, we hadn't seen this Verdant squad play before. We know that Touch and Tide play together. We know that they've had multiple members that have kind of played in a variety of different teams, so they have that synergy already built in. It's just whether they can make it happen on this team, and they've proved that they can. Now we need to see if they want to show more or if they want to keep it hidden away.
Yeah, no, I remember saying this on stream the other day. I don't remember what the answer was. Like, I said, what's the opposite of a salty run back? You know, when you win and you just run back your team com. I think someone said sweet. I don't know if sweet is the opposite of salt. I feel like sweet is the opposite of bitter, right? So I'm trying to think, what's the opposite of salt? I guess most people would say maybe pepper. So is this a pepper run back? Is that what we're going to see here?
pepper run back. I mean,
It's spicy. It's a spicy look.
shout out to sweet and salty popcorn, by the way. You know, many people don't rate it, but I'm a big fan. Getting into this draft, enough about the popcorn. I'm going to have mine as we sit back and watch this one because it's going to be a fun game if it's anything like the last one. Anivia banned away. Zeri's going to be taken off the board. Invulnerables don't want to see that champ again. Tied, absolutely demolished on that one. Yumi off again. And Riven, you know, Verdant's just like, they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have to play around it because Slater showed that then they didn't look as strong on that Ornn.
Yeah, indeed. And look, just take away the comfort picks, it makes it a little bit harder. Now, they banned Riven earlier than they did last time. They banned Riven in the second round. So, we'll have to... I don't know what's happening, but it's...
I'm closing my window.
But either way, it's all good there from the side of Verdant. They've decided to ban it out, and they're not going to go for that Pepper run back. You know, they're going to go for the Rakan as their first pick.
Yo, and Xayah is looking quite strong at the moment in higher levels of play, especially if you're playing comps that want to fight back. Rakan, obviously, we know about this lane. They kind of came out together. They're kind of lovers. Like, it's a thing, a duo that we've known about for a while. So it still opens up that option to play towards Xayah. But Rakan just fits a multitude of different comps. But Invulnerables slamming it straight down Lilia and Senna. I like this. Senna can play both AD carry or support. Lilia can play top lane into a tank, or she can play jungle if she needs to. So they've got a lot of flexibility in this, and they've got a lot of pivot points that they can play around.
No, indeed, yeah. Having that flexibility, it's something that we saw from Invulnerables last time, but we'll see if they squander that. You know, I feel like they added in a flavor a little bit too often. They also drafted that kind of then gave problems, but I thought this was banned. Bel'Veth has been picked for Verdant.
I'm not too sure about this. This will be a new experience for me because this champion, as far as I'm aware, was supposed to have been banned from most competition play. So I haven't done a massive amount of prep work. Obviously, I've played the champion. I know what the champion does. But in terms of how it relates into other matchups, this is going to be, this is going to be all new area to me. So we're going to learn together, J-Real, how this champion plays. But they're locking it in with the
I've actually not really played much of the champion. I played a lot against the champion. We'll say Rammus did pretty good against it. But what can I say? I played a few games with Rammus against Bel'Veth. It works out, you know. People that play Bel'Veth don't enjoy their life in that game. But it's an interesting one. We'll see how it goes. Ziggs is locked in as well, which is obviously a little bit different there. Maybe mid could also be into the bot lane. A lot of flexes going on this draft. And we're going to see a Sivir picked up as well. So maybe Sivir Senna. How are you feeling about that comp? Obviously, a lot of picks that go with Senna normally have a bit of CC. Normally, sometimes a bit tanky, not always, but sometimes have a little bit more than what another ADC could give them.
I mean, this is mainly due to the fact that you see a Rakan. Once you see a Rakan, you know there's no issue of something like that Leona, like that Nautilus coming out that can look to CC lock you down and just kill you with a Kai'Sa. Rakan doesn't have those same kind of pairings. He doesn't have that same kind of engage potential to constantly go forward and constantly look for those picks. He's more of a champion that skirts in and out of fights, which doesn't work super well when you're playing into Senna Sivir, who are both long ranged, both going to look to poke you down and going to look to just absolutely dominate that lane phase. And that's what Invulnerables is trying to do. They saw Tide and Touch was super strong in that last game, so they've picked something really lane-oriented that could just bully them out. And from the side of Verdant, I do like this Ziggs pickup because, like you said, it's a flex, but also it gives you that AP damage to make up for the fact that you've gone with such a heavy AD jungler like Bel'Veth.
Yeah, and I will say I would like to see some CC from Invulnerables. I feel like no CC is Bel'Veth holiday. You know, that is exactly what you want. You can just do lots of damage. Syndra is going to be a pretty nice pickup there. You have some CC that's easily available. And they're also keeping the flexibility of this Leah pick still hidden, which I really respect from the side of Invulnerables.
Yeah, there's still opportunity for it to move around. And Syndra gives you, like you said, that pick potential, that CC. And I think it's more about poke for them. They're going to look to set up those dark spheres, scatter the weak into a stun, followed by that Senna and that Sivir just landing so much. And if it hits onto a squishy target, which at the moment, pretty much all of Verdant is squishy, you should be able to 100-0 them. But Verdant is going to lock in that Echo, which is interesting to me because it points towards the fact that we might have a Ziggs bot lane and an Echo mid lane.
Yeah, And it's a strong look. It is the classic, you know. Obviously, people were playing Echo. I think maybe was it 1 or 2 worlds ago where that was a
Mhm.
really popular matchup into the Syndra. It's got a lot of prowess. You know, you can just use the Chrono Break to come back and basically dodge out the ult. Okay, Tryndamere being locked in there. So again, another split pusher there. They said, you know what, we have a 4 stack. We're going to play with Tryndamere on the side lane. Very similar style from Verdant, but with a lot of different picks.
So we're kind of starting to see what Verdant wants to play towards is they want to play around these side lanes and kind of out macro the enemy teams. And they did a really good job of it last time, but like we see from Invulnerables, they now get choice to counter matchup. So they are going to go for that Camille, look to win through this earlier game. Camille obviously has that poke to fight onto Tryndamere, and with that speed up that comes through from the Q, it means you can kind of avoid a lot of these fights that Tryndamere would usually be able to get through just smacking you down with those crits. But also Verdant with this Belveth. I don't know if anybody's seen the clips, but the clips of this champion when they get Rift Herald, when they walk into a lane, this champion can pretty much take your entire base at minute 12.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really like these drafts. I don't like Invulnerables draft. I think that Verdant,
Yeah.
okay, look, they've got a play pattern, you know. We're taking towers. That's what they've said. We're
Mhm.
going to take towers. We have quite a lot of long range. We can get picks. They're not exactly the best team fight, but they have very good pick potential in a lot of their members. Invulnerables have locked in a team comp that is like, okay, our bot lane wants to team fight, which could work well with our mid lane, but then our top lane are more pick orientated. It feels a little bit off, in my opinion. You know, I'm not loving the draft. It feels like it doesn't really mesh that well. And unless they get really good lane priority, they just start winning all of the lanes. It does feel like Invulnerables are going to have a really tough time come this later game, pretty much just starting fights.
Yeah, when you look at it, I think you point out, J Real, is that you needed to see some engage from Invulnerables, and we are like, Syndra, a decent looking, you got a little bit of CC, but you needed something that can start these fights. Because at the moment they seem to have built themselves a bit of a siege comp where you want to look to harass under turrets with your long range, outrange the enemy, look for some of these picks. But Lilia doesn't fit into that style of play. Lilia wants to run around team fights, become rampant, look for these big sleeps, and she is a champion that can melt tanks. That is what Lilia is good at with some of these builds that you can go for. She does so much magic damage, and in extended fights, she is so useful. But Invulnerables hasn't built themselves a team comp that works around extended fights. So you've got a jungler that doesn't really mesh with the rest of your team.
Yeah, it feels like they're playing maybe for more comfort picks.
Mm.
Admittedly, this wasn't on my list of comfort picks. I feel like there were other things that I expected to come out from them, but who knows? Maybe they have a strategy, you know. Coaches could come through 400 IQ.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something that they've practiced. Maybe this is something that can work. But for me, it does feel like Invulnerables really need to be on the front foot. They need to be ahead in these games. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like their comp is going to be able to withstand the damage that Verdant can do because, as you said, their tower taking is absolutely ridiculous. We've all seen the Belveth clips, we've all seen Tryndamere players, we've all seen Zig plays. It's definitely a problem. They can potentially end the game super, super early. And if there is no lead for Invulnerables, it feels like those 1v1s as well aren't going to work out. You know, Echo are really good in the 1v1s. So is Tryndamere. So is Belveth, to be honest. And then
Mm.
that bot lane, they have a lot of pick potential with that CC, with that burst damage.
Yeah, there is so much to play around for Verdant, and I feel like what's always important to note is that when you have a composition that wants to play around side lanes, having a Ziggs to help clear out those waves and mean that the enemy team can't siege on the other side is just so useful. I'm not going to lie, I do feel like both these drafts are kind of a little bit disjointed. Verdant's side, this Echo coming out doesn't really fit the rest of the composition, similar to how the Lilia doesn't for Invulnerables. But if it's one of those where you're like, we just need to win that mid lane matchup, we're not playing for you, we're playing for Tryndamere Belveth on those side lanes, and the rest of us are just going to be wave clearing as a 3-man unit, maybe looking to make some roams with Rakan while Ziggs kind of plays weak side, it makes a lot of sense in that kind of regard.
Yeah, there is some levels to it. You know, I'm excited to get into this game because I feel like there's a lot of question marks across these two teams. You know, so we'll see which ones do get answered. We'll see how this one plays out. I definitely feel like Verdant have the better scaling side of
Mm.
it. Yes, Senna can become dangerous, so can Sivir. Sivir has really good wave clear. You can also talk about Syndra and Camille being able to one-shot carries, but I just think they're going to find it very hard to find these fights, whereas the flip side, Verdant will be able to keep putting pressure on those side lanes and basically force them into something, and it just feels like there's a little bit too much of a difference in how easy to execute the comps are in favor of Verdant. So we'll have to see if that is true. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what? I just want a good game of League of Legends now.
Exactly. That's what we all really want at the end of the day. We just want some entertaining League of Legends. And that first game definitely was entertaining. Not if you're an Invulnerables fan, but if you're here to watch Verdant, you love that first game. And in this second game, when we look at Invulnerables' comp, what they want to do, the positive for it is you do have really strong lanes. Your bot lane should be winning naturally. You have so much range, you have so much poke. You can win the all-ins with the 2 versus 2, depending on how Rakan lands his CC. If you just kind of spread out a little bit and play for your range, you should always be getting priority. In the mid lane, Syndra, ranged into melee, should be able to poke echo out in the early levels. It means you have options to play towards your Lilia. And if you get ahead as this invulnerable side, you can look to get these early objectives and snowball this game.
Well, here we go into game 2, the last game of this day. Will Verdant 2-0? Will Invulnerables come back with a surprise win here? We'll have to find out. And I only say surprise because of how game 1 went. You know, it's not any shade to the players just yet.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like people always say that when they're like, surprise, you're so biased towards one team. Did you not see game 1? Would you not predict
24 minutes? 24 minutes, man. That's a fast win.
They want so they had the record anyway for the fastest series win. They now want second place as well. They're going to go for 2 25-minute games and they're going to go for the 50-minute series win. And that's kind of the aim that Verdant's going for. They're like, we will be the team that dominates everyone. We'll have the fastest game. And a meta where everyone is really playing towards scaling.
No, indeed. It's the scaling is the vibe. You know, the scaling is the vibe, and Verdant have brought that. You know, they've got Bel'Veth, they've got Tryndamere, they've got the Ziggs. I guess the Ziggs scales pretty well. You know, his damage does become pretty strong. Obviously, the wave clear is pretty dangerous as well. But we'll have to see how this one plays out. Bel'Veth, they're going to be starting on the red buff. I'm interested to see how this one plays, you know, because obviously I played myself, I've seen some people play. It's felt that the first clear isn't the greatest, but it becomes a little bit dangerous. You know, Bel'Veth can clear very, very fast in those later stages.
Yeah, earlier on, not the fastest clear. Like you said, it's going to take her a bit of a time to ramp up. But once Bel'Veth starts getting onto those objectives, she is a champion that can melt Dragon, that can melt Barons. She's pretty much very similar to Tryndamere in the fact that she does so much damage through these auto attacks, and the abilities just help her do even more. And that passive becoming so strong as well. I'm really looking forward to see this one because, like I said before, this is the first game of Bel'Veth I've got to cast.
No, the same for me. You know, it's all new, it's all fun, and we'll see how this one does work out. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of Bel'Veth, I feel like, in the time, because new champion, it's 2022. Any new champion they bring out is going to be pretty strong.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of been the vibe all along. Any new champion is kind of super strong from the get-go, and then they have to tune it. But Bel'Veth is one where I do think at the moment is actually reasonably balanced, has a very secure niche of wants to play around side lanes, wants to play to push off of these objectives with those little voidlings that come out. And if she's not able to manage that, she's not the strongest team fighter.
Yeah, no, I was saying that I'm a little bit worried about the lack of CC from the side of Invulnerables. The biggest counters to Bel'Veth when I last looked it up, which was about a week ago, were things like the Volibear that have really good CC. Obviously, the Rammus has been pretty good, but right now he getting bounced around in that bot lane, tied able to drop quite a bit of damage down onto the center.
Welcome to the bounce house. He gets knocked up, knocked around, bullied all the time. But we see already they've got pressure, this invulnerable side, already gaining an advantage one wave up. And they are just constantly poking, constantly harassing. And there's not much you can really do if you're this Verdant side.
Ooh, yeah, Roykia there trading back, saying, you know what, you were bullying me a bit last game, I'm going to get some poke down on you, and they are dropping that damage touch. Obviously able to bring back a little bit of HP there for that Rakan, but we'll see how that sustain keeps them in this lane, as we are going to see a gank in this mid lane, and Ruben now going to be ganked. There's the knock-up from Bel'Veth and just dashing forward with the Void Surge, but here comes Lilia. Pinterest is going to be able to make this a 2v2, but I don't know if you win this one, Flawed, with that Ghost already procced. There's the knock-up from Rakan, and in they go. They're looking for more from this one. Pinterest is ignited, will be able to flash away. And once again, gaining control of this fight. But Touch now in a predicament here. Might be going down, going to flash over the wall and will get out safely. But Flawed, next on the list, now in trouble, gets picked up. And it is going to be Invulnerables to pick up the first blood.
There you go, just the pressure they gained from that bot lane meant Tide couldn't move up, couldn't look to play around this river, and Invulnerables just brings their bot lane first, and 4 versus 3 in the early game is a really huge advantage. I mean, at any point in the game, really, as Roikia just looking to constantly punish Tide for picking this matchup.
Yeah, and talking about punish, Slayer almost getting punished by Petoska once again in this top side. Demir just slapping the blade and really causing damage to this Camille, but a much better bot lane for the side of Invulnerables.
Flash going to have to be used. This is really bad for this Verdant side at the moment. It's pretty much an exact opposite of what happened last game. Verdant was able to find those advantages, was able to find that pressure, but Invulnerables has picked a lane that is supposed to dominate, and that doesn't mean that Verdant doesn't have opportunities when it comes to this mid game to try claw their way back in it, but with how this game is going at the moment, Invulnerables is going to be so strong coming into this first Dragon.
Indeed, they are, and we saw them have a little bit of a lead last game. You know, it wasn't all plain sailing for Verdant. They did lose a couple of objectives early on, but Invulnerables weren't able to convert that into bigger wins. As right now, Slayer having to be a little bit careful with that Tryndamere fully stacked on his passive.
Yeah, and Slayer, once again, Petoska's just controlling these waves so well, able to play around it and look for these fights. But there is going to be a possible gank coming through in the top lane, and maybe Slayer can bait Petoska into this one.
Yeah, it does have that Fury stacking up. Was going to use it though for the heal, and is going to then maybe not want to take this trade, and that ward there will catch out Pintras as well. So Petoska going to be very happy with where this wave is at the moment.
And it's strange that Pintras didn't help Slayer push this one in. It's in a terrible wave state at the moment. Petoska controlling this one, there we go, does come back to help that one push in. Because if that wave stayed where it was, this CS advantage was just going to keep growing larger and larger.
Yeah, 15 CS already is quite a bit of a number there, but now Petoska does have the level 6 as well. Here comes Flawed, and Slayer now going to have to run away. The damage is pretty good, and the knock-up there from the side of Flawed is going to keep this fight going, and in comes Echo as well. Camille just trying to get away, does hook shot out, but it's not going to be enough. A nice pick up there for Sumi, although it does actually go over to Flawed, and they're able to find one for their work. They pick up that kill, and they push in this wave, and Petoska now going to be super happy in this top side.
And the disappointing thing is, Invulnerables isn't able to dive on the flip side. You're playing Senna, Sivir, that tower does so much damage, and this is kind of what we expected. Tide, playing that weak side Ziggs. Tide's only job right now is clear waves. Try to negate as much tower damage as you can, and touch on the map, trying to find roams in the top side. And they just had the tempo advantage right there, and they're able to find it, but Pintras might turn on Flawed.
Indeed, Flawed needs to be a little bit careful here, but saying that, Ricard, they're going to get the knock-up onto Pintras, and now it's looking pretty doomed for them. They're able to get a lot of damage down, but it's not going to be so. Ricard is going to be the first one to forward, but Flawed is still in this fight, has tried to get this damage down, but not going to get enough just yet, and once again, they're living on such little help, and in goes Sumi, finds two, but a Ruben trying to turn this one around, but will we get the return of Echo? Not just yet. Flawed going to proc the ultimate there, will get a bit of damage down from the Endless Banquet, but all in all, another fight that goes the way of Verdant.
I don't know if my heart can deal with this kind of game, J-Real. It's so they both teams wanting to fight, and we saw it right there. I just highlighted it. Touch leaving Tide on the island in the bot lane, roaming up towards that jungle, able to find themselves a pick there from Verdant, which now means they've evened up this gold. Despite the fact that your Echo is down 20 CS, it does not matter because those kills went onto that carry, which nullifies that advantage that has been gained in lane by a Ruben.
It does indeed nullify that. And you look, Echo didn't even have to use the ultimate there. You know, still has the Chrono Break as well. So coming out this very, very strong. Flawed, able to get into the ultimate form there. And it's just proving problems. You know, if you've played Belveth or played against it, you can definitely tell the difference between the minor form and then the major form, which it really does change everything, and Belveth is starting to look a little bit scary. You know, we've had some really good team fights there, able to get a lot of knockups with the above and below that have really changed the game.
And Touch, we see there, is just going to start becoming a menace. Just going to roam around the map, constantly looking to make picks happen, constantly looking to annoy these lanes. Because, like we said, Tide, you can't really get dove. Who's going to dive them? You have no one to tank that turret. Sivir instead of can't do it alone. Lilia's not a tank in and of herself. So unless you're able to poke Tide out beforehand, in which Tide has been doing such a good job of avoiding a lot of this poke, it becomes really difficult to actually punish the fact that Touch is always moving across the map.
Yeah, and no flash on a Ribbon really does set them up for a bit of a dangerous promise, as right now Flawed has been able to get some ganks off. We've seen the promise of this Belveth. It really is a little bit dangerous for those ganks. The Ribbon obviously playing a champion with no dashes.
No dashes available there as the Dragon is started up, and Tide looking to poke this one out, has the Mega Inferno Bomb, but with no one on that side of the map, they might just look to trade it, as first turret has not even gone down. First turret's not gone down, it's just Patoska playing on the side lane.
Oh, and Slayer, oh no, gets stunned up with the parallel convergence and tries to hook shot out, but it is a no bueno for him. He tried to get towards that tower, but was just a little bit short, and it's going to be an easy kill there, picked up for the side of Patoska. And, was picked up by Sumi, but Patoska, just again, having free time in this lane. He's 87 CS to 48.
I thought that the tower was down by how far up Patoska was playing, because we couldn't see the minimap at that moment. Nope, just turns out Patoska's dominating this matchup once again. The top gap is really coming true as damage in the bot lane.
He gets gonna have to flash away, but we are gonna see a lot of damage onto Taj. They're flashing forward for it, but the Druid Shadows is gonna be able to pick up this kill. But now Rekia is going to be the one in trouble. It's in the top side. Flawed trying to make this one work. He's gonna go down, but in goes Sumi looking for the kill. He's not gonna find it though, and it's gonna be Invulnerables to pick up 2 kills in the top side.
And is Tide going to land the Kobe? Is he going to sack out and land the bomb? I'm looking forward to maybe seeing it, but Egets has more damage, has that healing. They're both going to kind of just respect it and back away from each other. But a lot happening across the map there. It was a 1-for-1 in the bot lane, which works out to the favor of Verdant, because Invulnerables is looking to gain big advantages in that bot lane. And if you're only trading 1-for-1 plus the wave, then it's not really that advantage you want to be gaining.
Yes, indeed. But we can't talk about advantages casually, man, when Patoska is this far ahead. You know, we talked about the split push pressure, we talked about the tower taking potential, and who better to do it than a Tryndamere and Slayer. I don't know if he ever comes back into this matchup, you know, tries to get away with the hook shot there, but it's just being chased down, and Patoska has the Undying Rage, able to just pick up another kill on the dive, and just keep this pressure going. Almost double the CS 11 minutes in.
Yeah, Patoska right now telling Slayer not to show up in these ends because there will be scraps, and instantly finds that solo kill there as a gank might be happening in the bot lane.
It might do, and in goes Belveth looking with the Void Surge, and it's just a lot of damage, a lot of CC onto Roykia as here it goes. Echo onto the back line, going to be able to get the kill. There's the Chrono Break as well. Almost dodges the stun, but it is going to land, and that's a lot of damage onto Sumi. They pick up 1 for their troubles, but Flawed now joining this fight. Pinterest trying to get away, but needs to dodge out the above and below, but it's not going to be used by Flawed just yet. And now Flawed may be the one in a bit of trouble. Going to have a little bit of a nap, will get hit with the unleashed power, but in they go, almost for the damage, and there's the bomb from Ziggs. They do pick that one up, they take the tower as well, and Verdant, even on these questionable plays, are still picking up the wins.
I don't know why that's so funny to me that Tide's just slapping away at the turret as you've literally got Flawed like spamming the keyboard, fighting for their life, just trying to make anything happen, as Tide's like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep throwing bombs and secure first turret, but works out in the favor of Verdant there, and you've got a hard winning top lane matchup now. Your bot lane matchup is ahead with the fact that you got that first turret, and Echo's in a really happy spot, not really getting a lot of minions, but does not matter when you have 4 kills in this early game.
You say not a lot of minions, but it's still keeping pretty close with the Syndra. They're not falling too far behind. And that can't be said for the top side, you know. It's been a very dominant performance for Patoska, now at level 11, 2 levels higher than Slayer already, and they need some help, but I don't know if anyone can help this sinking raft.
I mean, is this allowed? Like, is Patoska allowed to play in this league? Because it doesn't seem really fair. Like, this is just domination.
It is indeed, and we're not talking about Call of Duty. Slayer trying his hardest to stay alive. I think with the assistance of that center, he might just live. He will be able to survive as Lydia. They're going to pick up the kill, but in goes Touch. And it's just the Ignite, you know. He runs in, nope, and then walks away. Beautiful play from the support there to get the roam, because so much was used to keep their Camille alive. They used the Dawning Shadows from Senna. They had the support from Lilia. They tried so hard, and they almost didn't even get the kill, or didn't even keep Slayer alive without Rakan's intervention.
They send everything, and this means Verdant's looking for a play in the mid lane.
Ooh, Roykia able to keep away for now. Flawed, maybe looking for something, but not going to get into range just yet, and he gets also able to stay away, although saying that, Echo potentially coming in, but Tide going to get a bit of damage onto E. There's the bounce, and
oh my.
Going to be enough. Tide with the fade away bomb picks up another kill.
And I didn't realize Ziggs had combos like that. Like, that was beautiful to watch. The timing of those abilities to just play that perfect, maximizing the damage, playing around those cooldowns. Literally looked like, it wasn't even like he was playing basketball with the fadeaway. You know those arcade games where you're just, like, you have to throw as many basketballs into the hoop as possible? That's Tide right now, getting a high score in that.
Man's getting onto those level 5s, level 6s, absolute monster. But they're onto this Drake. Talking about monsters, it's just another pickup for Velvet. They're going to go back into ultimate form and become dangerous once again. And talk about dangerous, Tide, pretty dangerous towards these towers, looking to maybe take up this mid-tier one.
Pushing in this lane. And Verdant, I mean, it's funny because it's, to be honest, for them, they're trying to kind of slow down this game and just look to play through side lanes, but Invulnerables not letting them, constantly trying to push the tempo, but not able to find these plays, and we spoke about this. Their draft isn't really cohesive. It doesn't suit for these champions playing off of each other. Outside of that Syndra and this bot lane that can look to poke, the top side is a little bit disjointed.
Yeah, and look, we said Invulnerables had to get ahead. They've not managed to get ahead. They're down about 4k, which is closer than last game, but it's still not ahead, and they aren't in a position where things are going in their favor. The kills are slightly down from them, but objectives aren't securely in their hand. They had 2 Drakes last game, now they only have 1. They're down gold, they're down towers, and the pressure assault on the map is very much sided on Verdant.
Verdant might be getting caught out here, though.
Ooh, Pinterest is going to put the Tide to sleep, but will flash forward. We'll be able to get that one kill, but is it going to end up well for them as Patoska able to get into this fight? Flawed now on a 1v3, looking to do a lot of damage. The Maelstrom going to be coming down, but not having the damage just yet. Now some support from Touch going to keep them alive, but it will be Slayer that picks up the kill there. And it seems like the rest of them were able to get away from this Tryndamere. They're diving into this tower for Touch, but they have to be a little bit careful because here comes Patoska looking to avenge his fallen comrades, getting a bit of damage onto Slayer, but they're able to get some distance, and they're now trying to portal out, but the knock up there from Rakan. Slayer is gone, but Oscar finding another kill.
2022 champions, baby. Belveth just tanks 3 members with that Royal Maelstrom, and if you're not aware what it does, because it's the first time you're seeing the champion, she activates it. It's essentially like the Irelia W. You get 70% damage reduction, you constantly hit people, you have a load of life still, you become pretty much unkillable for a good couple of seconds, and with that ability just survives the entirety of the burst that Invulnerables tries to put out on them and just turns that fight around.
Yeah, it's a strong one, but you know what, Invulnerables there, making some plays that I can respect. You know, they're starting to put a bit of pressure back. They are saying, you know what, we're not out of this game just yet. And I will say Pinterest has picked up a lot of gold, is quite strong at the moment, but oh my days, Patoska is just doing bits in this game. What the hell? Just picking up another kill, easily gets out of there alive as well. Didn't even have to burn Undying Rage.
What is this, Patoska? This isn't like... He looks like he's smurfing in like my platform promos or something. What is going on? Almost another Flame Horizon. Literally going where he wants, killing who he wants, absolutely destroying this game, and it doesn't even look like anyone's able to stop this champion.
Yeah, you could say like Mundo, but Mundo not really that good anymore. Right now, Patoska is pretty good, and Pinterest is in trouble. Gonna have to use that Sonya Slayer. Also gonna be going pretty low, but gets a little damage. There goes the kill. It's just too much to handle. You think you're gonna kill Patoska, but there is no Batoska in this game, apparently.
And that's the thing. If this was my platform promos, Batoska will be playing alone. But it's not. So he's not. He has a team. Flawed is there. The team is rotating to play around this Tryndamere. And it is working oh so well, as they are just constantly rotating to these fights and picking Invulnerables off when they look to try gain an advantage.
It's just another big play for them, and it's going to lead to more pressure on these towers. Now the tier 2 in the top is going pretty low. The tier 2 in the mid is potentially going to fall to this 6. They're just getting objectives around the map. They're getting more gold. They're now 7k in the lead, and Verdant are not showing any sign of slowing down.
And the question is, can they win this game quicker than they won the last one? They're already pushing down these tier 2s. They've got one. They're almost going to get a second in the top lane. Pretty much a gust of wind would blow that one down and give them that second tier 2. And Batoska, oh no, if you look at your mini-map, Batoska's looking to bully Slayer once again.
Indeed, and... I don't know, man. It just feels like bullying at this point. It's like 3 levels up on the Camille. Like, he's up like a full item. Like, it's just like, bro, it's just not fair.
My favorite part about that is Batoska realized that Slayer was worth less than the Scuttle Crab and did the Scuttle Crab before coming down to kill Slayer. Like, that is just so funny to me. That he's like standing in that tribe rush. I could kill Slayer now, but Scuttle Crab's worth more gold, so I'll do that first.
Lord, just turning up so you can become the ultimate form again. You know, that's really about it. You know, like, they just want to become Big Belveth. And they did that. They're going to look for this Drake as well, and it should be a pretty easy take for Verdant. Invulnerables, though, how do they get back into this game? Which is obviously a pretty big question to ask for them.
This is a good way of doing it.
Yeah, Sumi is in a bit of trouble here. The 3 on the top side are doing a lot of damage, but it gets getting pretty low. And Sumi potentially going to be making his way out. There's the bomb from Ziggs dropping down, but a stun does finally land onto this Echo, and Sumi is going to fall, but at what cost? 4 members in the top side losing a tower in bot lane and potentially losing a tier 3 in the mid.
Yeah, that's the thing. You asked me how they get back into it. They get back into it by Verdant throwing it away. If Verdant doesn't play properly around their side lanes like they have been doing the whole game, you get yourself a couple of picks, get yourself some gold. They are starting to spike with their comp, but there's an engage in the mid lane.
Ooh, Slayer going to be jumping onto Tide. This is going to cause a little bit of problems, but the damage is dropping down, and Roikia almost going to fall, but they get the stun onto the Ziggs, but he picks up the kill onto Sivir, and on the backside of this fight, Batoska is just slapping everyone with the sword. He's going so powerfully through the team. He picks up another kill, trying to get away, but he will finally fall down as Touch, trying to make it out of Slayer's way, will fall as well. But Belveth with the knock-up gets the kill, and it will be again an even fight Verdant's way. No advantages are going to Invulnerables.
3-4-3 at the end of that altogether, and Invulnerables has the right idea. Engage, and engage quick while you can. And Production's pointed it out. We already noticed, Meg, there's another Flame Horizon. It's happened once again, Game 2 and Game 1. This Batoska is just an absolute monster and just bullying Slayer in both of these games.
Yeah, 1.5 items up against the Camille, plus levels. It's not a fun time to be a top laner. You know, we always talk about lanes that can be pushed one way or the other, who has the advantage. I feel like top lane is the lane where if you get behind, you stay behind.
And I feel like it is, and it's a lane where matchups are super dependent, which is why it'll be surprising to you, those of you that didn't watch draft, for me to say that Slayer picked into this matchup. Slayer wanted to play Camille into Tryndamere, so chose that as an option. And it's not really worked out well for them so far, to say the least. 3-9, 100 CS down. It's a bit of a rough game. But they are making some redeeming plays. That engage in the mid lane was one of them. But now, caught out in the mid lane.
Oh, another fight in the mid, but it's not going to go as well for them. Belveth's going to pick up 1 kill immediately. Roikia trying to get away, tries to get 1 kill, will get 1 back, but now potentially in a bit of trouble, although it is kiting out pretty nicely. Tide going to have to go to Zonius, but will get the kill over to Belveth, and it's just going to be the deer trying to run away. Pinterest is trying to get out of there. Slayer looking for the Echo, does find another kill, will get some gold back into their pocket, but it's going to fall down. Pinterest is trying to stall this one out, but will fall to Batoska. Another kill to the Tryndamere, another big win for Verdant, and potentially some more towers coming soon.
It turns out when Patoska isn't diving 1 versus 3, it's really easy for him to kill people. Because in that last fight, we saw Patoska go down, but he was literally diving turret versus 3 people. Finds himself an easy one-on-one there, and yes, while this Lilia can try kite out just a little bit, it was not enough. But Verdant starting Baron now, and this Bel'Veth shreds this objective.
Absolutely shreds it. Patoska, I'm going to add that extra bit of damage as well. Senna going to try and harass, going to try and deal some damage, but to be honest, it's not going to make a difference, and they might now be in trouble as Touch almost landing some CC, but there's the root down coming out, and it's going to be Bel'Veth jumping into this backline, but not finding the damage just yet. Slayer going to turn around and get the CC off, but is it going to be enough? In goes Echo, gets the stun, and there's the charm as well. Slayer will fall, and it's going to be a Ruben trying to get out of this pit, but he just gets spun on by the Tryndamere. Roykia is trying to make something happen, but it will be no more for them. Another kill going down, and surely this is the game.
Yeah, and it's hit that point once again where Verdant's superior macro is able to play through. We know that they play around their comps. There's another kill going to be found, but they have got such a huge gold lead once again, 14k, and it's pretty much in a similar vein to that first game. And I was joking when I said they might be looking for another 25-minute win, but it seems like it might actually be a reality.
It's definitely a reality right now. Long death timers on the Sivir, on the Syndra. Yes, they have Camille back up, but it looks like they're going to be able to pick up this inhibs with relative ease. They're going to be able to get all 3 and potentially just have another fight in the game. They're in the base. They're all pretty healthy. A stun almost landing there from Echo, getting them pretty low, but we'll have to chrono break out. But once again, forcing them back away from these towers, and these towers are taking a lot of damage from the Sigs.
And they're trying to find the fight here, though, and this might be Invulnerable's chance to get some of these shutdowns.
We're looking for it, but not going to be able to close the gap. They're left with their base in tatters. 2 of the inhibs have fallen. Dragon is going to be up, but it does feel like there is no contention from Invulnerables, really.
And this is kind of where you need to make these big plays as E gets just going to be caught out. Not much to say about that, but maybe Pinterest can find a steal here, start to get a little bit of this comeback gold, and that's one way to slowly claw your way back into the game. A few big plays, a few big steals, some shutdowns going on to these main carries, and you can find yourselves eking your way back into this game.
No, indeed, you need a few here and there, but it doesn't feel like Verdant are going to give you anything, to be honest. It's just a very strong performance from the Patoska now, level 16, 4 levels over Slayer, and the CS isn't getting any closer either.
No, I feel like this game is pretty much all but done for. It's a formality that Verdant's going to have to close this one out, and while there is the potential for a really big team fight from Invulnerables, it would have to be some really big outplays, and Verdant would have to slip up somewhere or toss the bag out the way. It's a difficult situation to be in, but Verdant now pushing through this bot lane and undoubtedly looking to end this game.
Yeah, Bel'Veth minions plus the Baron plus Ziggs. It's just a tower nightmare. They're going to be able to take one down, and they're looking to end this game swiftly. I am sure of it, as we are going to see Sumi drop so much damage onto the Lilia there. There's the knock-up onto Roykia. He's going to fall down as well, and they're just pushing for this base. 3 versus 5, and Patoska still having Undying Rage. It feels so doomed for the side of Invulnerables. They are going to be taken down here. Their second game, not going to be a time for redemption as they jump onto the fountain, deal a lot of damage. They pick up 2 more kills. They're going to third, but the game will end before it goes down. But it's 2-0 to Verdant.
Let's go! And not only does Verdant keep their 100% win rate, I keep my 100% caster win rate. So who's the real winner out of us here?
True. A strong performance for Verdant, and they did it in a different manner as well. You know, they did still have a lot of split push pressure, like we saw in game 1, but they picked completely different picks. They didn't stay to anything that they had before. They've shown now a decent variety of picks they can play with, and Verdant are looking pretty strong.
Yeah, they've shown this week we can play around side lanes, we can play that mid-game macro really well, and we can dominate you through our superior rotations. They know how to play the map as a team, and they have demonstrated that. And now, I'm just wondering what else is in their wheelhouse full of tricks, because they've shown 2 different split push comps that work in different ways, but they have executed them to perfection. And now it's whether next week they just want to carry on the same thing, keep these same comps going through, or if they want to go and shift to something more towards more team fight. But what I will say that is a benefit to Verdant is people always talk about split push comps are probably one of the hardest to execute because your whole team needs to be on the ball and finding those rotations. Whereas it's way easier to literally just send it straight down mid lane, A round with a front to back comp, and win team fights that way.
Indeed. But we'll have to find out more from Verdant. Hopefully, let's come back and do some more casting because it was a lot of fun. I liked watching Verdant. They were a good time and obviously a lot of good plays. But we're going to be going to a very short break. We will be coming back with an interview after, so don't go anywhere.